Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about the Orville, Season 3, Episode 7. And, sorry, the name escapes me of this episode. Oh, From Unknown Graves. There we go. I'm here with Cousin Cheeto, and we have a special guest today, Commodore Boone himself. How you doing, mate?
Doing great, and you, Cheeto?
Fantastic. Bit hot, bit hot. And Cheeto, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Typical Thursday sci-fi day.
Great. Well, today's episode was like ram packed with various storylines. We had so many things going on, and you know what? It worked. And I think because this episode was over an hour long, it was able to work. Anything shorter, I don't think it would be too rushed. It would be poorly paced. But having a flashback storylines, having this diplomatic storylines, relationship storylines, all of that, it was fascinating overall. But they pulled it off. Very unique episode of Orville, I may add. Also, maybe a bit of a throwback to yesteryear's Orville with some of the comedy kind of thrown into it. But it worked for me. I didn't mind it. Now and again, it's okay. Cheeto, what do you think of this episode?
I thought I thought the Isaac stuff was good, even though I knew early on it was going to be the emotion chip storyline. And what's the other storyline? Not the diplomacy one. What was it? Oh, Lamar and Taylor.
Is it Talia or Taylor?
I think it's Taylor. It's Talla.
Okay.
So Taylor, I don't know. I actually found that storyline a little bit more interesting. I did not enjoy and it's not because I don't like the comedy aspect. I just feel like they've been so serious and not serious, so taking themselves seriously for so long. And then they kind of go back to this slapstick, not even slapstick, but like this kind of dumb comedy where it's like, okay, we're going to pretend like all of our women are in charge now because this is a great way to start a diplomatic relationship with a with a new race. Let's lie to them and then ease them into the fact that we lied to them. I did not. That was very, very important. Like, I don't mind a little bit of the dumb slapstick comedy, but that was not a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I could have got on. I don't know. I was going around in my head how I would have done it instead, but you'll have to get back to me.
Oh, I was thinking of that too. I thought to myself, it would backfire this method because you're being disingenuous. Anyway, Commodore Boone, what do you think of the episode?
I liked it pretty much. I mean, it does kind of point out about slavery and lying a little bit, but other than that, it was a pretty good episode. Especially the part when the guy got his leg broke and arm broke and stuff like that. I'm like, really?
Yeah, that was the other storyline I was thinking of. The Kalon origin story and the slavery and all that. I mean, that part was done well. I mean, I thought that part was done pretty well.
The integration was brilliant.
Charlie and Isaac got their moment that we all knew was coming eventually. But yeah. But I kind of feel bad for Lamar and Taylor. Yeah. I actually think they make a super cute and funny couple, but I don't know. Hopefully they can work through it. But I do like them together.
God, I mean, I'll bring this up now before we start doing the breakdown. But like when they were having sex and you heard that snap, I thought his dick broke off. You know what I mean?
I'm like, what the heck?
Hey, like, oh God, not his dick.
You gotta quit being so damn rough there, darn it. Damn.
But yeah. All right, so let's break it down, boys. Now, anytime you want to intervene and just ask me something or talk about what I'm talking about, then please do. Okay. So, Orville, Season 3, Episode 7, From Unknown Graves. An alien race with bald heads, grey skin, red eyes. Start the pre-credit scene. With a father bringing a gift to his family. It's a large box, and we find a Kalon inside. Then we obviously cut to the credits. Now, back on the Orville, Lamar and Taylor are having sex, and Lamar breaks his arm, and he has a bruised rib. He goes to sick bay and lies to Dr. Finn regarding his injuries. Claire then gets quickly changed because she's obviously got a dinner date in the simulator with Isaac. Isaac then changes into a human form and has kind of improved his relationship skills, but he still has a lot to learn. He's kind of saying, "Yeah, you look ravishing. I could eat you up," and stuff like that.
Yep.
He's got all the lines. So the Orville are going to be meeting the Genesi. Is a race, an alien race that is female dominant, and they kind of treat their men like second-class citizens. Now the Orville obviously need the Genesi to be a part of the Union because they need to obviously fight the Kalon. And
I do have a quick question. Have they ever mentioned how many specific races, are a part of the, or planets are a part of the Alliance? Like I know they're probably playing it fast and loose with that because they don't want to to canonize something too fast, because they don't want to be shepherded to a number. But I feel like there's I think we've seen 6 or 7 different races that are actually in the Alliance, maybe. I mean, it depends on if Yalfet's a whole race in and of himself, or if he's, nobody's ever talked about that. But I don't know. I mean, is it like the Federation where there's over 100, or is it 52 or 37 races?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to the aliens, I still feel with the Orville, I'm still learning. They don't have the luxury of sort of Star Trek has with a plethora of fucking shows. And a lot of the alien species that we have now, our mainstays, started off really with TNG, to tell you the truth. The Cardassians, the Ferengi, they came from there. Really, only the Vulcans, Klingons, and the Romulans started off with TOS, and everything else is TNG onwards.
Right.
Even the Krill started in TNG. You know what I mean? So that's
the
Krill?
Krill or the Klingons?
No, not the Klingons. God, the Josiah Dax's race.
Oh, the Trill. Yeah.
The Trill. Sorry, my bad.
Yep.
Yeah. So
they're one of all the spots.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically the Union wants the Genesi to join them. So to not offend them, the Orville crew starts changing some of their roles, with Kelly being captain, Taylor being first officer, and Charlie being the chief engineer, and all the men kind of just being ensigns.
Well, and actually, I do remember my point with this whole thing is I understand them only wanting female representatives, but why lie? Why not be okay, Commander Grayson, you have the lead on this because you are a female. They do not respond well to men. We will be honest and say, look, we are an equal species, but in respect of your culture, you will only meet with female representatives. You will, and stuff like that. So the whole lie thing, that was just so dumb. That really hindered this episode for me.
What you said is genius, and in hindsight, it would have been better, but still, it's how this show sometimes pulls off its stupidity. I mean, does it save face? And I think they kind of did to a degree, but yeah, what you said was definitely a better way of going about things. So, the Genesi arrive, and Mercer and Malloy are relegated to bellhops, carrying their luggage in a very clumsy manner.
Mm-hmm.
The charade carries on to the. I'm hearing an echo, by the way. The charade carries on into the bridge, and Bortus is dismissed because he's Mucklen, and obviously being part of a mainly male race that might offend the Genesi. The Kalon, from the pre-credit scene we saw earlier, he's been called K1, and he's serving dinner, and the kids ask him to come to school. The parents say no, but K1 wants to go, and wants to know why he can't go. But he, being told that but this Kalon gets told that he should only be speak when he gets spoken to, and his place is at home. So you can already see that bicentennial man sort of thing going on here to a degree, but the evil version, the evil side of it, where Sam Neill's character was very receptive to Robin Williams' bicentennial man and wanted him to come out of his shell. These fucking people don't realize that they have an artificial life form that could possibly learn, but they want it just to remain as a slave.
Right.
Ed, Charlie, and Malloy and Bortus go on an away mission to a deserted planet showing signs of life. They investigate and go deep inside the planet and meet a Kalon called Timus. He seems less formal than Isaac and has an alien doctor companion called Villic, who vouches that Timus is no threat. The alien doctor has experimented on Timus, and now Timus experiences emotions, and Timus sees things differently and wants to make friends, not enemies. Dr. Villic and Timus are on the Orville now, and Lamar is impressed by the cybernetics of Timus and the work done by Dr. Villic. Elsewhere, Charlie kicks all the men out of engineering, where the Genesi are going to visit. Lamar then manages to get to Talia alone and wants to know why she's avoiding him. She thinks their relationship won't work because her species have been known to kill their partners of other species during sex. Now Lamar doesn't care and woos Talia to get back, to keep the relationship going. K1, we're back in the flashback now. K1 sees his masters watching entertainment. He's fascinated by this, but he just pisses off his owners who tell him to power down. Timus meets Isaac, and Timus tells him that the Kalon were wrong, and every person is unique, and like all organic shouldn't be wiped out. Isaac agrees, and then Timus offers Isaac a chance to feel and discover an array of emotions. The Union Admiral gets a report from Ed and Kelly, and after they finish with Timus and Villic, they want them to be sent to Earth. Lamar breaks his leg having sex with Talia, and he's
pelvis.
hobbling. And pelvis, yeah, and he's
And
hobbling.
pelvis.
Honestly, you wouldn't even be able to hobble back. You wouldn't even be able to get the fuck out of bed.
Yeah.
I actually have a patient right now that I'm treating that has a fractured pelvis. So.
Yeah. Regardless, he's hobbling back to sick bay and gets escorted by Isaac, who bumps into him in the corridor. Lamar then lies again about his injuries to the doctor. Because Isaac and the doctor are in the same vicinity, Claire then basically has a quick private talk with Isaac and wants to know about his time with Timus and if he's going to take I'm just going to call it the emotion chip just to make it easy to understand.
Right.
Take the emotion chip Timus was offering. Isaac doesn't want emotions because he sees no advantage into having emotions, but all of this is kind of making Claire a little bit unhappy, but she's keeping it to herself. We see the great alien race, but this time it's like it's not the family, it's a corporate CEO who knows that these Kalon-looking robots are faulty, but he assures his assistant that this upgrade will make things better. The CEO does not care about the backlash because he thinks the general public are idiots because who they voted for is an idiot, and it's kind of like it's like parallels to Trump in my opinion, and people voting for him and stuff like that. That's just my opinion on how I saw it. Anything to say so far, people? No.
No, I mean, it's very corporate for them to say something like that about the political spectrum. They say people are idiots. Look who they voted for, and it's like. Yeah. I mean, to play political devil's advocate, people can say it on both sides of the aisle. So it's like, I mean, but still, like that is very corporate of them to say. So they were very on the nose with that. This race, this gray race, reminded me a lot of the race that was in Enterprise season 4, episodes 1 and 2, where Enterprise went back into World War II, World War II, but it was different. They were in New York, and New York was taken over by the Nazis because the aliens kind of changed the timeline or whatever. And so that's I kept on getting flashes of that race when we were watching this.
So the Orville crew are having dinner with the Genesi, and they bring some of the men to dinner. Charlie asks them why they have a problem with men, and it's because all the problems of their world were caused by men. So women are in charge. That's kind of like the very slim line, narrow version of that. One of the Genesi takes a liking to Mercer and wants to shag him. And Malloy bravely says that he'll do it, which made me laugh so much. Yeah, that's the sort of humor I like. I'll do it. I'll take one for the team.
That's the humor I'll get behind. But it's just,
But eventually Kelly intervenes and tells the Genesi the truth that men are equal to women, and this kind of pisses off the Genesi, and then they leave the dinner in a huff. Charlie chats to Timus and explains to her why they exterminated their makers, who ended up being the builders. I can hear an echo, by the way. The scenes we saw earlier with the with the grey aliens happened to be flashback scenes. It comes to realize that these grey aliens are the builders, and the upgrades which were given to them by the which we saw the CEO mentioned earlier, were pain receptors. And this is like some of the most disturbing parts of the episode, because we saw like, like any sort of insubordination by what they thought that was from the Kalon robots. They would just press that button and the robot would just fall on the floor. And then when you see the kids just pressing that button, just tapping it, wow, I mean, even though that this is an artificial life form, it's still, it was painful to watch, to tell you the truth, especially when you see them enjoying it. Like, it reminds me of that time when Alex Murphy got killed in RoboCop, and they're all laughing their heads off as they're blowing him up into little pieces. Like, it's very disturbing, when you see stuff like that, people enjoying the pain of others. And yeah, in a way, I think they kind of did that to maybe soften the blow with what happened later, because what Timus explained was Timus is obviously the K1 robot, and what he explains is that eventually it just got too much for them, and he was able to communicate with other robots and stuff, and then they were able to retaliate to the people that were enslaving them. So it almost justified why and I'd say almost justified why he killed his masters and the children as well, which was fucked up. But yeah. And this was Timus's way of explaining things to Charlie, who to hopefully give her a better understanding. And you can see maybe Charlie kind of got this information and kind of understood it, but it was she still needed to process it. So she just basically says she had to return to her post. Claire then confides in Kelly about Isaac not taking the emotion chip. Kelly suggests to Claire that if Isaac should take the emotion chip for her. So at the next dinner date, Claire tells Isaac, look, take the emotion chip, because I just want to feel loved. I want to feel a return of emotion. Like, she wants to feel the same way. She wants Isaac to feel the same way to her as she does to him. And I can understand that. And I'm loving the fact that she's still giving their relationship another shot. This could have been done and dusted, with the previous seasons. But no, they're coming back to this well, and I don't mind. You know what I mean? So this is pretty cool.
Does anyone else find it weird that Isaac and Claire are having this relationship? Like, the relationship with Data lasted like one episode. This thing's been going on. Like, does anyone find this weird, or is it just me?
No, I don't find it weird whatsoever.
Okay.
Relationships are more than one episode.
No, I know that, but I don't know. There's just like, I could see if he was like I could see if he like had the emotions and stuff like that, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I just know that this relationship, a relationship, there has to, like, you have to have the same level of emotion. So I mean, it's like, unless she is going to completely understand his callousness on everything, which she proved in this episode she does not. I mean, she basically asked him to change himself, and granted, they're okay. Changing yourself to saying like, hey, can you work a couple less hours, or hey, can you add a whole new element to your personality and become emotional? And as I said, Isaac, even after he got it, he said that that he was okay with it. But in the beginning, he's like, no, why would I get that? Like, it seems manipulative in my opinion.
Yeah, I get you, but because a lot of people had issues with this, but I'm just thinking to myself that this is sometimes how relationships are. It can be a bit manipulative. I mean, somebody says, look, if you really love me, I want you to do this. I mean, it's unfortunate that people can be like that, but that's real. You know what I mean? Like, it's not ideal sometimes in people's approaches and how to make a relationship right. But I think the only thing she's missing from what she considers to be almost a perfect guy is the emotion. And so she wants to add that into the mix. That's just my opinion. Boone,
no, I mean, no, and as I said, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's like it's something that shouldn't be happening. I'm just saying it just feels weird because it's like she obviously wants something out of him that he cannot give. I mean, especially now after this episode. So it's like it really feels like that. And maybe it's just me being stupid and having hindsight and being like, look, if a relationship's not going to work out, I'm not going to do anything. You know, like I don't pursue a relationship I know is not going to work out.
So it's like there now. There's an opportunity to see what happens though if he does become emotional. You know, I mean, he could say, "Fuck, I always hated you." You know, I'm only being nice. You know, he could have gone down that route. You know,
I mean, wouldn't that have been a kicker though? Like, if they went that opposite direction and he was like, actually, I really don't like you all that much. Just my emotion, you know, just like you know, you were a study. I actually like Ensign Burke. That's why I try so much to get her to like me. You know, like
that would have been good. That would have been
As I said, that would have been good writing, but like I don't know.
Bit of an echo coming from yourself, Gio.
It's not me because I hear the echo too.
Okay.
I don't hear any echo.
Then that would be who it's coming from. It's okay, but the echo's gone. It comes and goes.
Yeah, it comes and goes. Okay, so
it's probably the internet.
Commodore, you got anything to add?
Well, my question is on Isaac when he turns into that guy. Is that the guy that really plays Isaac?
Yeah, that's the same actor. Yeah.
Like, dang, I know he sounds the same and everything, but when he sees Claire come in, his eyes just lights up and is like, dang.
I'm going to get to that. You're jumping ahead a little bit. But okay, well, let's just get back to the play-by-play. So Lamar and Talia are having breakup sex. And Lamar looks like he's had 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. I mean, that was, you know, honestly, seeing him look like he's had the shit beaten out of him.
And he spits teeth out. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, and there's like Taylor like just crying with emotion because it's just not going to work. And it's so sad because it kind of shows you like this is like another element. This whole show is about relationships, whether it be between a slave and their master, between somebody who loves you and somebody who, in my opinion, does care for you, but doesn't have the emotional responses. And in this case, two people, one so physically stronger than the other that it could damage you when you're having sex. I mean, it's and also even like between like the Genesi and the Union, like, you know, their relationship and how they see men and stuff like that. I mean, relationships was really the main key of this whole episode, and but this breakup of sex and stuff was absolutely hilarious. You know, I mean, she really must have fucked the shit out of him. Like, he was fucked up in the face. Like, what the hell were they doing? Like, what the hell were they doing? I mean, was he like?
I don't want to know what I think they were doing.
Yeah, did he have his face sat on? You know what I mean?
I was just gonna. I'm pretty sure she jumped on his face a little too hard.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, and those teeth that pop out was too perfect looking, really.
Yeah.
It was too perfect.
Yeah, but I feel like that was just more the comedy bit.
Yeah. I mean, he just like, I gotta go. Like, damn.
So
that girl's rough.
Ed and Kelly make one last attempt to make a treaty with the Genesi. They explain their relationship as husband and wife and the means of understanding, because they're divorced now. And the Genesi, I don't know really how this worked. You know, what their ploy, saying they're divorced and they're still working together. But nevertheless, the Genesi says they're willing to continue negotiations with a female person in the future. So they're kind of saying, okay, look, we'll still talk about this, but next time, send a woman as a representative. So that was that. Claire gets a gift from Isaac and this is like a dress, and there's a card with that dress. Just meet her at the simulator. It's a very fancy dress. Kind of reminded me of what Sigourney Weaver wore in Ghostbusters. And as she meets Isaac, we see that Isaac has taken the emotion chip, and he's expressing right at this particular moment a variety of emotions. You know, the anxiety of waiting for her and stuff, and seeing her and just being in love with her. He wants to father her children, and you know, and everything, which is pretty cool, because I've always thought that he was the surrogate father to those kids anyway. You know, like the way little Ty looks up to him all the time. It's very cute. You know what I mean? So they then start to dance, and then boom, the emotion chip falters, and he's almost in a way like, even though he's not like the emotion chip falters, like it's a look of worry almost on Isaac's face when it falters. So there is almost like an emotion there, but even though the old motion chip's not working. So we're back at engineering, and Vilk, Timus, and Lamar wonder what happened to Isaac. Isaac was built by the Kalon, so his design is different to that of K1 of Timus, because Timus was built in a way that things could change, but in a way Isaac's built was more that of perfection. So the changes, you know, that happen to Timus are unable to happen to Isaac. But there is a way of getting around it, and that is to erase Isaac's memory. And this is something Isaac is willing to do for Claire. So it kind of shows that, you know, in a way, it's that deadpan, emotionless, but caring sort of thing, you know. But Claire doesn't want doesn't want Isaac to be like a blank slate. So he can feel emotions, and basically wants him to remain as he is. And that was a nice move by Claire. So at the end of the episode now, Charlie talks to Isaac, and she's basically looking to make peace, you know, olive branch and so on. She wants to work with Isaac, but Isaac kind of puts her down by saying, "Yeah, your inferiorness will just slow me down." But Charlie doesn't take that too personally, and she actually proceeds to apologize to Isaac, because after speaking to Timus, she understands the plight of the Kylon a lot better. Isaac then offers Charlie to work with him, showing that he has more emotional well-being than he cares to admit. And that's how the episode ends.
Well, I feel like we're not done with the emotion thing. I feel like that was a catalyst that might progress. Maybe he'll make a subroutine that, you know, just kind of a subroutine that just kind of you know, kind of emulates it more. Maybe with his experience. He says he doesn't remember his experience with it, but maybe going through the data, he kind of figures out a way to, you know, figure out how to simulate those emotions. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do want it to be in the back burner, because honestly, like, sometimes we don't need this emotion chip malarkey and stuff. Like, I prefer Data without the emotions. I think there were moments when he had emotions that were good, like in Star Trek First Contact, especially the moments with the Borg, where he started lying and they gave him human skin, so he was able to feel touch, but as well, and not just touch, but pain as well, and stuff like that. Those moments were very cleverly written, and they were brilliant. But overall, what I like about the characters is they don't have emotion. So Isaac, in this particular current form, after seeing him all lovey-dovey and stuff, I thought, you know what, I hope this doesn't last, and I'm glad it didn't. You know,
no, I agree. I think that I don't know, the whole emotion. As soon as I realized it was going to be a emotion chip thing, and it was early on in the episode, just the way they were talking about it, I was just like, I don't know what they said, but it made me, and I'm like, oh, the emotion chip episode, okay. And I mean, I was just kind of like, I don't know, like I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not a huge fan of Isaac's anyway. I like Bortus. For deadpan humor, I'm more of a Bortus person than an Isaac person. You have two characters that are very good at deadpan humor, but I'm more on board with Bortus. And I think that having the two deadpan humor people is a little bit much sometimes. Now, they really do kind of keep Isaac and Bortus apart enough, so it's not like a deadpanathon. So I really do appreciate that. And I can tell that they do that. Like, they do keep them separated, because it would be too much. I also had one issue with this episode that I forgot to bring up, and I'm going to say it now before I forget it again. So you're put out this lie about, you know, although only women commanding this vessel and everything like that. And then you send all the boys go on, but on a trip down to the planet, but they take Charlie. I'm like, you just introduced her as your chief engineer. Why would you not take Lamar with you? Lamar used to sit in that chair. Like, you know, if Lamar's, or if guys, or if it's a guy's trip and guys aren't supposed to be on the ship anyway, why not let Lamar go? Like, why did Charlie have to go? I have a theory on that. It's because, well, they paid this pretty actress a lot of money, and they want to give her as much screen time as possible. But
I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking the fact they're on an away mission. The Tunisi people don't need to know, what the fuck they're doing, what other things they're doing, and they need to take a commanding officer, which is obviously Ed Mercer. They took a pilot in Malloy, and they took they took the muscle in Bortus. And I don't know why she went as well, but whatever reason, whether she just be there for shits and giggles or whatever, I have no problem with that. You know what I mean?
But I mean, they're both pilots. Like Malloy and Charlie are both.
She's a bit of a jack of all trades. She's got a bit of a commandingness about her, and she's an engineer for sure.
Yeah. They're kind of building her up as a what from the Skywalker saga, and I'm not going to say it, but they're
they're not. Come on.
They're just making her more of a douche, which is fine. I'm okay with her being a douche.
I didn't mind her being a douche because she went through a lot of shit,
but I'm just saying they're kind of building her up to be a jack of all trades, which is kind of a certain phrase that I don't like to say, but they're building it up to that. Like,
look, she's definitely a pilot, but she has that dimensional thingy, which is why she was brought in to help get Isaac back online when he killed himself in episode 1. So, regardless, like, for me, I'm not looking at her as a jack of all trades. I'm looking at a person who has an issue with the Kaylon. That's how I see her.
I do too, until all of a sudden she's got the answer to all the problems, which has happened a couple times.
I don't know. I think she learned her lesson, so to speak. She was somebody who was very narrow-minded when it came to the Kaylon, while everybody else kind of forgave Isaac and saw that he was more than just than what Charlie thought he was. And then it wasn't until Charlie spoke to another Kaylon that she saw the bigger picture finally. And I think it was very brave of her to make up with a fucking sentient, with an artificial life form like Isaac in the first place. I think you're doing her a disservice.
I'm just saying, like, they're, it's okay. Anyway, so I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I mean, this is the first time where it's like somebody's actually kind of been like, well, you're not really skilled in this department, but I will take your help. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first time that somebody's actually told her, hey, you're not really good at this, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, that was more of an evolution of Isaac, that even though he hasn't got the emotion chip in him, he still saw what it meant to, like, take the olive branch that was being given to him by Charlie. He's evolving and stuff. And going back to what you said about Bortus and Isaac, we have seen emotion from Bortus. He's not emotional. We saw him crying his fucking eyes out and trying to smile for a selfie and all of that sort of stuff.
Well, and I mean,
he's not emotional,
but
he's deadpan. Yeah, for sure.
But I would not say Bortus is emotionless. No. And some of the best moments this season have been Bortus's emotion in what was it, 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, the cockpit episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he saw him like getting angry with his partner and all of that. It was. Commodore Boone, you got anything to add?
You guys pretty much nailed it down. Pretty good there.
Thank you. So, what I want to bring up now is that first of all, how many more episodes are left in the Orville?
I want to say, I think there's 10 episodes or 13. Hold on, I'm checking now. Ten episodes, so there's 3 more episodes.
Okay, because the news is that there's no confirmation that there'll be a season 4. I don't know how popular the Orville is, and I don't know what sort of views it's getting, but Seth MacFarlane wants there to be a season 4. I can obviously, I want there to be a season 4 as well, because this is my TNG right now, in every aspect. and I love this show. I genuinely love this show. Um, this show is more Star Trek than including Strange New Worlds. This is more Star Trek than any of the Star Trek we've been getting recently.
Oh yeah, it is.
And not this is not a disservice to shows I do like Lower Decks. I even like Prodigy to a degree, and obviously Strange New Worlds. But this is the most Star Trek of the lot, and it's not even fucking Star Trek. So I want there to be a season 4. I'm desperate for there to be a season 4, and I hope Disney greenlights it because this is Disney's fucking Star Trek. You know, it's on their on their streaming services. You know,
just to clarify, yes, it is over. It is on Disney Plus in the UK. For those of you going, no, it's on Hulu. For us American idiots, yes, Hulu owns Disney, or I'm sorry,
yeah.
Disney owns Hulu, and it is on Hulu Plus over here. Ergo, Disney is a major partner with all this. So if anyone's confused, go ahead, Sam. Sorry, I just want to clear that up.
Exactly. So like, you know, they've got they've got one of the biggest comic book franchises in Marvel. They've got one of the biggest sci-fi franchises in Star Wars, if the biggest, and they can have this. You know, they can, even though Paramount has Star Trek, they can still start their own Star Trek with Orville. I mean, there could be spin-offs from this and everything. You know, there's so much that can come from this show, and it's just I just love this show. I really do. I love this show. Like the spirit of this show is so good. Season 3, without doubt, is the best season. You know, every episode has knocked it out the park, as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, some episodes not as good as others, but they are like 7s and above every episode. You know, and I just can't get enough of this show. Like, it makes me proud to be a sci-fi geek when I watch this stuff, and I applaud some of the like directions they go with some of these episodes. It's genius. Really gets you thinking and stuff like that. And even this episode as well, which had so many plot lines going through it, it still works. And each show is over an hour long, so it's almost feature length. So you are getting that you are getting everything panned out perfectly.
Well, that's kind of what I think Star Trek needs to look at now moving forward, is like, hey, look, by the way, Orville's doing an hour and 15, an hour and 10-minute episodes. And, you know, and yeah, Strange New Worlds and Discovery and Picard, they're all like 40-some minutes because they got this stupid TV format still stuck in their head, you know, for commercial breaks, whatever. But it's just like, you know, they need to realize a story needs to be as long as it needs to be. This episode was as long as it needed to be because everything worked out perfectly. As much of the issues that I had with the diplomacy angle of this episode, they took their perfect time. The pacing was perfect, and it was a very roundabout, well done episode.
Yeah,
I agree.
And,
yeah. It was good.
Exactly. So, Commodore Boone, would you say you're a big fan of the Orville?
When Orville first came out, season 1 and season 2, I watched it all the time. But then when they had the break on season 3 and of course changed the name of it, I mean, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. But I'm getting back on it again.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I was watching all the episodes and everything, and you know, with Isaac doing the suicide thing, kind of got me going.
Yeah.
On the first one there, but he learned all the way down the line, you know, probably not to do that again.
Yeah, for sure. And like he also knew that there was value in organic people and biological people. Like, don't judge the entire species, you know, because of the actions of certain people. You know, that's basically space racism, right there. So, exactly. So, yeah, I'm liking where the direction of the show. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for another season. I'll be devastated, you know, considering we've been waiting 3 years for season 3. If they don't continue and keep the ball rolling, I'll be very upset because this is some of the best stuff out there at this moment in time. I just can't get enough of it, you know. And it's nice seeing people like, you know, Seth MacFarlane doing serious, even though he does have a laugh here and there. This is the most serious I've ever seen him. and I enjoy it.
Mhm.
I really do. So yeah. All right. Anything more to add, fellas?
Not really.
Are we gonna mark it?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give this episode an 8 out of 10. Gio.
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 just because of that diplomacy thing. Just really killed like that
Yeah, I can see
dumbass
it.
diplomacy. It really killed it for me just because I felt like the show knows better at this point. You know what I mean? Like the show should know better than to do something stupid like that. So I
I
would have
totally
probably
agree.
given it an 8 or a 9 if they had gone a different route with the female led thing. But it's like no, it's like it was so stupid. It just dropped it down to a 7. Still good, still way above average, but still.
Yeah. I mean, before I pass it on to Boone, I just want to say that I agree with you that I thought to myself, this is going to backfire. This is going to totally
Oh,
backfire.
absolutely. You knew the whole time that was going to backfire on him.
But at least I knew it was going to backfire. So my only concern was how they were going to get themselves out of backfiring it. I don't think they did a good enough job. If they did, I would have probably given this a higher mark. But still, overall, everything else, like from some of the comical elements to some of the more painful elements, it just superseded some of the negatives of the show. Commodore Boone, what would you like to rate this?
I'll definitely give it a 10 because I really enjoyed it
Wow.
over and over again. I watched that sucker 4 times and I learned more and more and more, especially Charlie when she learned that you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, and it's good to see that a character like her is able to.
It's really good.
I thought she would stay, dig her heels and stay kind of bigoted, but it looks like she's finally opening up now and stuff like that. So, all right, so
big time.
So, unfortunately, unless certain series pop up or certain films pop up between now and next week, I'm not sure how many more streams we'll have regarding what's out there on Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon and all of that, because it seems that all the good stuff is over for a little while. I have been getting recommendations like that Daniel Vance mentioned to me earlier to watch the Resident Evil series on Netflix. I'm sure your girlfriend.
Maybe I can get my girlfriend to watch. She loves Resident Evil.
If you get her to watch it, and if I end up watching it, we can do a series review on that. But basically, there won't be anything from us until next week. Between now and then. Because,
well, later on this week, we do Final Fantasy wise. Me and Major Rage filmed a Final Fantasy VII materia trivia video where we go through trivia and try to answer questions about hey doggo,
Mr. Pete.
Yeah, we love doggos, we love birdies, we love kitties, yes. We love all those things on here. But yeah, it's a materia trivia, and me and Mage try to answer all the questions as accurately as possible. I mean, and maybe we should start doing some podcasts like the Highly Illogical podcast or something like that. I don't know. I mean, we've got some room now to kind of do some stuff for at least for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And it won't be long until we're back on board. August is actually just 2 weeks away, and before you know it, we'll be back with the Andor series. We'll be back with Lower Decks. We'll be back with She-Hulk, and then our calendar will be full of stuff again.
And Harley Quinn in 2 weeks.
Harley Quinn and stuff. And I'm sure there'll be something else out there. Maybe there's something that slipped my mind at this particular moment in time. But I'm sure something will pop up eventually as well. And, even if we don't do a weekly review, there'll be film reviews of certain things that we enjoy. And there might be whole overall series reviews of certain things that we've enjoyed as well. Like myself and Jose, we did the review of Young Rock Season 2. Which was actually kind of enjoyable to a degree, even though it was definitely watered down because Vince McMahon is an asshole. But nevertheless, it was good to do that review. So yeah, keep an eye on us on NerdTube. We've got more to come for sure, even though like the more common shows are kind of dried up for the next month or so. But definitely we'll be bringing stuff out regardless. So keep an eye out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Thank you, Commodore Boone. Thank you, Cheeto. To everyone else, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. We'll see you guys later. May the force be with you.
Thank you very much for inviting me up.
You're welcome, mate.